Hi friends, welcome to Knowledge Share. Today we are going to see about PnP Placeholder Control. So this is one of the many controls developed by the community which can be used for free in SharePoint framework projects, and there are many controls. This will be a multi-part series. Part 1 we are going to cover the PnP Placeholder Control. Let us see how we can leverage the control and what are all its benefits and how it will benefit the developers as well as the users. Before jumping right into the demo, let us see what the control does. So this is one of my blog posts. So here I have explained in detail and also shared the code how you can use the control in your SharePoint SPFx project. So I'll include this blog link in the video description. This is the PnP SPFx controls page. So it has a lot of controls, and I'll also include this link in my video description. And if you see here, it covers how you can install the control from the npm library, and it has many versions since SharePoint Yeoman generator has many versions, right? So please check the version before which version of SPFx you have installed in your laptop or in your machine, and try to use the correct version which is supported. For example, version 3 will be supported by the latest SPFx version, which is 1.16, 1.16.1. Version 2 will be supported by 1.13.x, and below that it will be supported by version 1. So you can find the detailed description on how to install the controls for the latest version and also for the previous versions. And if you see here, there are guides which are provided. You can also contribute to this GitHub page. This is an open source provided by the community. It is not done by Microsoft, even though Microsoft employees are part of the community, and it is 100% provided open source by the community. Thanks to the community for giving all these controls. And if you see the controls here, there are a lot, and we will see one by one in our video series. So now we will concentrate on the placeholder control, which is So basically, placeholder control is something which will give the end users a clear view what they have to do before utilizing the web part. There could be many properties, and there could be optional or mandatory properties, but you have to tell the users that if there are any mandatory properties, then they have to configure it before utilizing the web part. And you cannot just put it simply like a message, like just a wordings. So if you have provided with a nice UI, right, then it will be appealing to the end users. So this is the control where I have implemented in a demo project. And if you see here, this page is in a read view. So the web part is not yet configured. So if you see here, it's just display configure your web part. Please edit the page and configure the web part. All these messages are configurable. Okay. So when I edit the page, automatically there will be a button displayed which is configure. You can access the web part properties page by clicking here or just click on this button. So when I click on this configure button, you can see I have just configured two web part properties, property 1 and property 2, and I have also configured this properties to be reflected on non-reactive mode, which means that whenever there is a change in the web part properties, you have to click the apply button in order to render the web part again with a modified web part properties. And there are some reactive ways where once you started entering the web part properties, it will automatically reload the web part. But I mostly prefer the non-reactive way to avoid much complications. There are a lot of complications in that, but that is not part of this video. So let us cover in another video. But whenever there is a change in the properties, for example, if I just type in test value 1 and if I click on apply, right, still it shows the placeholder because I have configured to display the placeholder. I have written a code so that the placeholder will be displayed unless you configure all the web part properties. So I have just configured only one. So let me configure the second one. Okay, the moment I click on apply, so it means that I have configured the two web part properties. So if you see, automatically the placeholder control is hidden and the actual web part is displayed. If you see the actual web part, I am just displaying property 1 and property 2, whichever I have configured it. In case if you remove any of the properties, right, so it will again show the control. So this is a very helpful control for the developers in order to give a very user-friendly way of customizing or updating the web part properties for the end users. So that's it with the demo. Let us move to the code and see how I had written the code to display the placeholder control. Shall we? So this is the project that I have created. So if you see the package.json file, I have used SPFx version 1.15.2, and if you see SPFx Controls React, I have used the version 3.8.0. And there are other packages like PnP SP Lodash Moment, which I have been using it for other demo purpose. But these two are the main you have to concentrate. One is the SPFx version, which is 1.15.2, and there will be a set of libraries associated with this version like core library, Lodash, subset, property pan, web part base, and SPFx Controls React, which is 3.8.0. So this is a webpart.ts file. I hope you all are aware of this file. So there is nothing I have changed except added two custom web part properties. So for the two properties, I have declared the property like property 1 as a string and property 2 as a string. If I scroll down on the get property pan configuration method, I have just created two property controls, which is property pan text field and given the control name, label, and the property name. The same goes for property 2. It's just a text field. That's it, nothing else. And I am just passing this property in the render method to my TSX file, which is the actual web part. So if you see the TSX file, I am just inheriting the TSX with the property file called iPlaceholder demo props. So once I went into it, you can see this control is derived from this property file, and the property file has property 1, property 2, display mode, and on config property pan. So all these four values, this is the function, and the rest are all the values. All these four are coming from the webpart.ts file if you see here. And when you look at the demo, there is a button called configure. When I click on it, the webpart property pan open. In order to do something like that, you can create a new method to configure the property pan or open the property pan. Here I have created configure property pan, and I have used the context variable where you can access the property pan and then open the panel. And the same method I am just passing it as an argument along with the property 1 and 2 and also the display mode. When you look at the demo, when the page is in the read-only mode, that is in the view mode, you won't see the control configure because in the view mode, the page is not edited and you cannot open the web part property panel. It can be opened only if the page is in the edit mode. So that will be configured based on the display mode. So here when you look at it, so I'm just getting the properties. So here if you look at it, you have to add the respective import statement. So the first is import placeholder from the SPFx controls library placeholder and the display mode, which is coming from the core library. And I have added the placeholder here, and before that what I have done is I'm just checking whether the property 1 and 2 has values. If it has the values, just display the value. If it doesn't have the value, then display the placeholder control. And there are few properties associated with the placeholder control. I'll just show you the most important properties. First is icon name. So this will be the icon which will be shown on the control. Next is the icon text, which is the bold text which is shown. This is the icon and this will be the text. And description. Description will be the subtle text which is displayed below the title. And the button label. So the button is already there and you can configure it or you may not, it's up to your choice. But you can configure the label, like I have given the button label as configure, and if you see, the button label is configured. And hide button. Hide button in the sense, if you want to hide the button completely, you don't have to configure it, just a hide button equal to true. You can just give it as true, so the button will be hidden whether the page is in the view or edit mode. But here I have configured only if the page is in the view mode, it should be hidden. So the hide button value should be if the property.display mode, which is equal to the display mode.read. If the page is in the read mode, just make this true and hide the button. That's it. And on configure method will be triggered when you click on the button. So when you click on the button, the properties panel should be opened. So that method is coming from the .ts file, which is passed as a property, and that is the reason I'm calling on configure equal to this.props.onConfigure proppan, which is passed from here. So these are all the properties I have configured, and this is very simple control which you can leverage, which you can increase the user experience. So this is not the final video. There will be more videos in future where I'll be explaining each control, PnP Reusable Controls, and I'll be giving you a demo, and I'll also share my blog links, and I have also uploaded this code in the GitHub repo. You can make use of it, just download it, execute it, and you can directly verify the controls working in your tenant. Thank you. Thanks for your time. I hope you like this video. Please like and subscribe for the channel if you like the video, and I welcome your comments. Thank you. Have a good day.